Hello, YouTube Infinite Magicraid community. Gandalf here. Today we're going to bring you the last part of the game damage formula series video. It's probably been a while since some of you were expecting it, since several weeks ago I did a video on how the direct damage calculations were done. A quick recap on that is that really attack is part of the damage reduction, attack and defense are part of the damage reduction formula for all direct damage dealers, which means even if it's HP based or defense based, having some extra attack will allow you to do higher damage, which was a big surprise to many of us when we found that out through testing. But if you want, again, the details for the video and how the game formula damage formula for direct damage works, check out the link in the description below, and you can fully see all the different components that go into the damage calculation. Now, today we'll be doing uh, daughters or damage overtime heroes and talk about the interaction between mastery and attack and HP for HP burners. The formula is a lot simpler. So for those of you who needs TLDR, basically, if you're thinking about building a damage over time damage dealer, a daughter, or for short, basically you take your if it's burn, poison, or bleed, what you do is just look at your final attack stat overall, multiply it by 100 plus mastery. Whichever combination of gear gives you a higher number, that's probably the set of gear you want to use. Likewise, for HP, you want to take your total HP, multiply by 100 plus mastery, and whichever results in the higher number, that will be the better set of gear for your HP burner. Now, with that out of the way, there are still a lot of nuances around, which buffs can actually impact the damage. The bleed dot is a very interesting one. A lot of heroes have split damage, so how does it get, which portion of their attack actually gets impacted? We'll be going to a lot of the nuance and detail about that, so please stick around and get that pertinent information. Again, if you like the videos that I do that go into depth about the game mechanics and just my guides in general at all, please leave a comment below, like, subscribe. I'm always around in Discord. Feel free to message me if you have any suggestion for content. Getting views from you is the greatest support I can be getting from you. Yeah. So with that kind of out of the way, let's go right into it. Here on the screen, what I've gotten is just got a few things set up here. I put up a punch dummy, punching bag here, full HP, little attack. Um, on my two bleeders, I have put them at 1,000 attack each, and I put them at 100 mastery each for ease of calculation. Seth is for the demonstration of, the impact of ripple and attack up. Sigmund, I kept him at 10,000 HP just for the ease of calculation, and then of the HP burn dot. Okay, so first out of the way, let's look at how maybe bleed and how the base damage actually works here on the opponent. Really, your bleeds and your dots are going to be taken on the enemy's turn. Sorry, if anybody didn't catch that, we will quickly just sort of go through it again and watch the damage that's on the opponent. Here sorry about that. I think after Nidroid goes, it's the enemy's turn, so we'll slow that down and we can see the dots. So we see 5 dots bleeds and 2 dot on HP burn. The HP burn calculation is basic. Well, it's going to be 8% of the enemy target, right? So 8% of the enemy target, but it's capped at 30% of the inflictor's HP. So now, completing yours, defense can't be critted or anything like that. Now, 8% of the enemy of 2 million, and for bosses for that matter, you're never going to be able to hit that amount. directly because it's going to be way more than 30% of your own HP. So really, that's why HP burners is all about stacking up your own HP. So 30% of Sigmund's HP was 3,000 multiplied by 100 plus 100 mastery, so that's 200%. So that gives you multiplied by 2, so the damage was 6,000 from the HP burn that we saw there. Now we saw slightly different damages for bleed. That's because Nidroid, right? Nidroid's passive does 15% more bleed plus, another, so 27% more bleed. So the base damage per dot will be determined based on the number of stacks. So on the enemy's turn, it will be taking 70% per dot, multiplied by Nidroid's 1,000, multiplied by the 1.27 from the passive, then a multiple of 2 for 100 mastery. But for Alicia, it's just going to be the 1,000 times 2 here. So if we watch carefully, you'll see 2 bleed numbers. We'll see that again on the enemy's turn. So probably should go after Nidroid. We're going to be probably at 6 stacks. One of the numbers should say, well, we're going to be at 6 stacks. So how much is that? 6 stacks is going to be at 120. So we're going to see 120, so 2,400, and we're going to see another number at 2,400 times 1.7. 1.27, sorry, 1.27. So that will be 3,048. So we'll see those 2 bleeds. So the bleeds are triggered separately. So we saw 2,032. Okay, wait, that was his own attack, and then one more hit, we're going to see the bleed. So at 5 stacks, okay, so you saw the 2001, and then you saw the 2000. So 2001 was the multiplier at 5 stacks, right? So we saw at 5 stacks, that's 105. So 2001 will be the ones from Militia because 1,000 multiplied by 1.05 times 2, that's 2,000, and then we multiply by 1.27. The 2,667 would be the ones from your Nidroid. So the damage the enemy takes on their own turn is um, what's calculated straightforward. Now, this portion is not impacted by things like ripple or wet or not. So you cannot reduce the incoming dot damage taken on your own turn. So we're going to see that again. This time we have ripple up. We're at 5 stack. We're going to see only 40% extra damage because of the attack up. So what we should see is only 40% extra of what we saw. So 2,100 times 1.4. So we're going to see a 2,940 on the bleed, and we're also going to see a 3,734. Okay, so we're going to hopefully catch that on screen. We saw, yeah, so 23733. So okay, I guess the game rounds down always, and then we saw the other number, which was sorry, 2940. Okay, so there we now know that ripple, wet, and all those buffs do not impact the damage taken on the enemy's turn. However, it does impact the damage you do on your own turn based on the skill description. So now let's focus our attention on the damage you're doing on your own turn. For bleed damage, the description takes additional damage here. This is actually considered as bleed. So that's a very important thing to know. So when you're hitting the enemy, this number here actually is quite a bit and you trigger this every time when you land a bleed dot on the enemy. So for example, Alicia is going to land 2 dots. If both of them land, you should see a total of 6 numbers when she's attacking. The first one is direct damage. The second number, you will see 1 um, based on you applying the dot, triggering that first part, and the last part is part of her split damage. So you can see Alicia's skill is 2 parts. So there's going to be a total of 50% base attack damage, then 50% bleed damage. But in between, you're going to trigger the take damage part because you're applying some bleed. So right now we're at how many stacks are we? We're at 3 stacks. So if you land the 4th hit, So it's going to be based on the fourth stack, and it's going to be based on, sorry, it's going to be based on 26%, then another 30% on the damage. So I wish there's a way to do even more slow motion, but just pay attention. There's going to be six numbers you're going to see on this attack. So a total of six numbers. So the 728 you saw there was the multiplier at 26% of Alicia's attack, plus additionally improved by mastery damage. And then the fifth dot you saw there was at 30%. So it's really important to think about it this way, that your mastery multiplies both portion of this damage. So if we to go to Alicia and really boost up her mastery like to 500, you'll see that damage actually there now go up by three times more. So two to multiple of six. So this time around, let's pay attention to the damage Alicia's going to do. Um, okay, Alicia's about to go, so it's at four stack. We're going to see a 30% multiple by 6 of her attack. So we should see 6 times 0.3 times 1,000. So we should see we should see, I think, 1,800 on these additional damages. So that will be the second number and fifth number if we land the dots. So what? Did I do some math wrong here? 1,000 triggered by, yeah, it should be 1,000. Oh, was there a attack buff on Alicia? Was I not paying attention to that? So okay, we'll look at that one more time. So Alicia should be doing, so this is a multiple of 3, right? So that would be 23, 28. Yeah, so 1560 was the second number. So if we take the calculation here of 26%, 0.26 multiplied by 1,000 times 6, yeah, 1560. So that's the fifth number you saw there on Alicia. So yes, we know for a fact that this portion of the bleed damage, every time we inflict bleed, you're going to be triggering that additional attack. So similarly, you can get that same effect on Nidroid's ultimate too, right? So because in Nidroid ultimate, every single time you have a 40% of landing and bleed. So if you look at it, you're going to see a total of three numbers per hit on there. Um, and Nidroid's damage really split. So to help people understand, what does this passive really mean is actually Nidroid is one of the earlier bleeders in the game, so they were trying to mess around with the concept of split damage. Nowadays, if say Nidroid was, released now, what Nidroid's skill would actually should read is that Nidroid is going to do two stages of attack here, is going to do 16% attack damage and 64% bleed damage. Okay, here on this ultimate here, it should read like 26% attack damage and 104% bleed damage. So that's how it's actually calculated. Now, um, here it's a little bit confusing and talk about Nidroid can all land a crit. The physical damage portion of the split damage all can land a crit. So if we take a look at if we go edit attributes here and just give them 100% crit rate, 500 is overkill, but if we look at it, you would now start to see the physical damage always critting, and it will be like the every other third number. So look here. Every other third number is a crit. See the 81s there? Likewise for Nindroid, Nindroid can't crit, okay? Every third number will be a crit. See, 55, so all of these 55s. When we are landing on dot, you will see that extra damage. The extra damage we see is from this portion. So hopefully this gives you a lot of details and help you understand how, bleed damage works and all the different components of bleed damage, which portion can actually be effective at mastery and which portion of the damage does not get effective at mastery. Finally, let's cover off, the interaction here we got with Seth with Ripple. So what is Ripple going to do is Ripple is going to boost up the skill portion of the damage as well. So when we're reading this, right, not only does 64%, or I guess in total it will be actually 80% now, 80% of Nidoroid's damage is going to be also boosted by Ripple as well. So the bleed that you're doing on your own turn, that 80% bleed damage is going to be scaled up by additional 40%. So what we should see for Nidoroid's damage is the sixth number, and the third number we should see should be 1,000 is the base attack multiplied by 0.8. Yeah, 80% of the damage coming through will be um, will be bleed damage. So then we multiply by his mastery boost of 2. So he's going to be at 1600. Then we multiplied by a 1.4 for the attack up, then another 1.4 for the ripple. Finally, we multiply by 1.27 for the additional damage that Nidroid does as a bleeder. So we should see 3,982 on his bleeds. So let's see that. 383982. So in case people didn't see that, that was the last number there. So that's how the damage calculation kind of works. And Alicia, again, very similar. Alicia is going to get additional damage boost as well. So I think Alicia, we left her at still at 500% mastery. So you see the attack there, but we're also going to get additional benefit from the ripple. So we take 1400, we multiply by the mastery, so there multiply by 6. The multiplier for the skill was 0.5, so then we finally multiply by the ripple 1.4, so we should see 5,880. Very slowly, you can see the last part, 5,880. So that will be her second portion of the skill. So you can see ripple does improve the skill, and if you, sorry, was that ripple? Is that what we call it? My bad. What have I been calling this? Uh, Yeah, it's called Ripple, yeah. But the skill up one's called Resolute. I don't think there's any hero that actually gives AoE Resolute. But you got the likes of Lydia, right? That boosts skill damage by 30%. So yeah, all of the skill damage portion where you're triggering the damage on your own turn, all of that's going to be amplified by the skill damage up. However, on the opponent's turn, the dot, all of these things the enemy is taking on their turn is not going to be improved by the likes of, skill damage improvement or reduction. So hopefully this was a comprehensive video explaining to you how dot damage works. If you have any suggestions or any comments you'd like to discuss, please feel free to post them in the comments below. Overall, you'll find that as you're building out these heroes, really is the priority is focusing on the mastery component and the attack or HP component. Effective hit really comes down to the content you're doing and whether or not you have things like Santa or Lydia that can reduce the enemy's effective resistance. General rule of thumb is whatever your base activation is plus your your effective hit minus the enemy resistance should be over 100 for whatever content you're doing, and that should allow you to land your dots 100% of the time. When it comes to which sets you should be using for your gear, I would highly recommend using the accuracy set as the primary choice, because if you actually look at the sub rolls, the max roll on a six-star piece of gear is 4.7 for attack, effective hit, and mastery, which means the more you can get from the sub bonus, the better. So you get, I think, 20 effective hit and 10 from the accuracy set, but you only get 8 attack up and 20% mastery from the penetration set. So purely from a total stat perspective, you get more stats out of accuracy. So if you do need effective hit on your particular hero, going the accuracy set is the best. Then it will be penetration set or the endurance set for HP based burners. Um, Now, if effective hit is not going to be an issue, definitely go with the latter two sets. The penetration and endurance set will be better. Finally, if you don't have access to these combination sets, either through forging, then I will highly recommend picking the mastery or the accuracy set first, or even the first, yeah, I mean, first aid is also another option. But really, I would suggest the mastery set and the effective before you pick the attack set or the HP set and trying to build your HP burners and your direct damage daughters there. Just because you can get way more from the set bonus in terms of subs towards your overall stat. So hopefully this is really helpful. Like and comments, subscribe. Catch you in my next video. Take care.